Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. How y'all doing today? My name is Melissa, and I am here Mondays, Wednesdays, and Friday. Mondays and Wednesday I talk about true crime, and I throw freestyle, just freestyle stuff that it does not have to do with true crime. It's stuff that I find interesting or topics that I find important to talk about. On Friday I do this series called The Voice, and I talk about missing kids that are still missing to this day. So if you like true crimes and you like topics that are interesting and you want to help me be the voices of these missing kids, go ahead and subscribe, and also hit that notification so you can notify every time I post. So before we get started, let's go ahead with my favorite poem of today. Actually, no, my post wasn't about you, but if the shoe fits, feel free to lace that bitch up and wear it. So if you ever posted of somebody and you're not even talking about that person, but they say something, you know what? Just don't respond. Let them think it's about them. So today I'm going to be talking about something that I probably am not the only one who's obsessed with, but I am. And it's about ghosts. So today I've decided to talk about one of the most state prison haunted ever. That's what they say. I don't know. I'm just telling y'all what they say. And it is the Eastern State Haunted History. So we're going to talk about the Eastern State Penitentiary. Guys, when y'all hear the story, y'all could just have your opinions in the comments, but let's keep it nice, okay? So if anybody's seen the Ghost Adventures, one of my favorite shows of all time, when I tell you I love that show, I love that show. So Ghost Adventure investigated the Eastern State Penitentiary, a former prison and famous for his solitary confinement cells in Philly. Considered to be one of the most haunted locations in the world, Eastern State Penitentiary first opened his doors on the 18th and 29th. Prison was designed to hold 253 prisoners, each occupying a solitary confinement cell for their entire sentence. The harshest punishment, solitary confinement, was meant to help criminals find penance, remorse, and salvation. In reality, it drove many prisoners insane. Before the opening of the Eastern State, prisoners were nothing more than holiday pens for the unwanted and corrupt men. Women and children were houses alongside petty criminals and violent killers. In the late 18th century, the Philly social of Evelyn in the series of public prisoners, led by the founding father Benjamin Franklin, worked to transform these waste prisoners into faculties that force reform. Their ideas to become tangible in 1922 when construction began on Eastern State. It was an expensive undertaking to bring the groundbreaking design to fruition. It featured valued ceilings and skylines to let in God's light. A new shell was required with a toilet, running water, heat, and a Bible. After this completion, more than 300 prisoners all over the world copied his design, statements, and systems and practice. Installations was impressed upon prisoners even when they left their cell for work daily. Each inmate wore heavy masks that prohibited communications with one another. The loneliness and isolation was perceiving too much for some prisoners to bear. Many took their own lives at Eastern State Penitentiary. Eastern State most famous inmate was an undoubtedly Chicago gangster, El Capone. From 1929 to 1930, Capone served 8 months for carrying a concealed deadly weapon. Though his cell was the nicest as Eastern, furniture including a desk lamp, painting, and cabinet radio, he complained during his incarceration that he was haunted by the ghost of James Carl, one of the victims of the State Valentine's Day massacre in Chicago. So this the whole cell of his cell being better looking than the other ones. I was reading on another website, and they say that not the prisoners, but the people that worked there say that wasn't true, that he had the same cells as everybody else. So we don't know if it's true or if it's not true. His cell being nicer than the other prisoners. The massacre was the result of gang rival, and Capone led one side of it. Solitary confinement even placed with their minds history's most notorious criminals. The prison's most famous figure was Warden Herbert Hortfield Smith, who ruled the prison with an iron fist during the 1920s and 30s. During his reign, the state only sentenced prisoners to Eastern State who needed Warden Smith's first reform tactic. At this point, the state had abandoned strict solitary confinement, and 2 to 3 prisoners share cells. However, with the loss of one former punishment came a heavy of others that included the water bath, when inmates were dunked in a bath ice of cold water and then hung from a wall for the night. This was especially popular during the winter months. The mat chair, where inmates were strapped tightly to a chair, restricting any and all movement for days and in periods of inducing starvation. Although executions were not carried out, Eastern State in the prison was home to its fair share of murders. At least 2 guards were murdered over 3 years, as were many inmates. Hundreds of others died from disease and old age. The grounds are haunted with the spirit who made their end. Eastern State Penitentiary. Eastern State Penitentiary is open year-round, offers many different tours during the summer. Twilight tours allow visitors to experience Eastern State during early night hours, even offer winter adventures tours during the cold winters. I don't know what to say. I just feel like prison is back then. Don't get me wrong, crime is crime and you have to pay the time. But for that type of prison to treat your prisoners like they weren't human just because of the type of crime they committed, it is just sad. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's really haunted. I'm not saying that it's not true. I have not been there. So if you've been there and you have seen or heard anything, please leave me a comment. I would love to hear your story. I'm glad that I'm hoping that this is still not happening today, but like I said, crime is crime, but at the end of the day, those are humans, and you should not be treating humans like animal. And it's just so sad that these prisoners had to go through what they went through, and I feel like this teaches us today that when you put somebody in prison for the rest of their lives and you have them to where they can't speak to nobody, and you're there by yourself in a cell and you can't get out, and you can feel the air and just communicate with other people and eat, and it will drive you insane. It will drive you insane. When I did see the Ghost Hunters episode, I felt the sadness. Looking at Zach and the other crew members, I felt their sadness. I felt their anger, because that's what they were feeling because of the spirit. And I would not be surprised if that's how people feel when they do go in there. You know, it's just really sad that back then that's how they were treated. I don't think it's fair. I will be back Friday with a new story. Once again, do not forget to subscribe and hit that notification so you can be notified every time I post. Besitos.